This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 215. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, and working experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, I've been waiting on bated breath for any Black Templars reveals, but then suddenly it was Space Wolves with the steel chair. But before Space Wolves came out of nowhere, websites are often square, and today's sponsor, Squarespace, can help with that. Squarespace allows anyone to design the website of their dreams with the most powerful and easiest design tools in the industry, like Design Blueprint. Using AI technology empowers anyone to build a more personalized website tailored to their needs, crafting a bespoke digital identity. Choose from a professionally curated selection of styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up. Squarespace makes sure it's easy to launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated optimized SEO tools, so you'll show up more often to more people and grow the way you want. With Squarespace, it's never been easier to set up a unique online storefront. Whether your services are physical, digital, or service-based, selling your wares has never been easier. Squarespace offers unmatched ability to showcase your unique wares with images, videos, reviews, and add-ons all capped off with their seamless checkout tools, letting your customers use whatever system they prefer, whether Klarna, ACH Direct Deposit, Apple Pay, Afterpay, or ClearPay. Squarespace offers a free trial for you to dip your feet into and test the waters, and ready to dive in head first and go to squarespace.com/EonsOfBattle or follow the link in the description to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. It's been kind of unique that Games Workshop has been showing off some roadmaps for Warhammer 40,000 so we know what to expect and what's coming next, but so far, they've been pretty darn unhelpful. I'm not going to say the Games Workshop lied, but it's not true. None of the roadmaps, the original one that we saw was Astra Militarum, Eldari, and Imperial Knights with a little sticky note at the bottom that said, plus more codexes and big name special chaos treats. I don't appreciate the use of the word treats, but that's what we had. We knew the Eldar were coming and they did come. Then we had some Imperial Knights and presumably Chaos Knights because the Knights are kind of the same exact thing. So why would you do Imperial Knights and then wait a while and then do Chaos Knights? But we felt like we knew what was up. Then we got hit with the new roadmap, which Krieg got in there, but then out of nowhere, we got the Emperor's Children. And then we got the rest of the Chaos Pantheon, with Thousand Suns being last, which makes sense because Thousand Suns are gonna be coming next-ish. But then on the horizon, this was the juice. This was the exciting bit. We had a picture of a Grey Knight, we had a picture of a Salamander in Gravis armor, we had a Black Templars power axe, and we had a Chaos Knights chaosy chainsword handy thing. And that was very, very exciting and not at all true. Because what we got was the Thousand Suns with their weird little robot dudes. Then we got a whole bunch of Space Wolves. We got 4 Space Wolves. We got 2 characters and 2 units. Then we got World Eaters and Death Guard, and World Eaters and Death Guard have now been fulfilled. Their codexes just came out. They each got 1 new special guy. And now we just got a bunch more Space Wolf guys. 3 named characters and 1 unit. One of those units is Terminators. Games Workshop. I really want Assault Terminators, but I don't want to buy the old Assault Terminators. They're so small and they're so crunchy and they're lacking in detail. I want new Terminators, new Assault Terminators that are as good as the Leviathan Terminators. I put together so many of the new Terminator kits. It's the best kit that Games Workshop has made in a long time if you're a Space Marine player. It's so glorious. I really want some Assault Terminators. Also, Assault Terminators are really good. They're somewhat costed appropriately. I think they're like 180 points for 5. They're really expensive, but they're really good. 2-up save, 4-up invulnerable save. And then you have the option between the claws and the hammers. I feel like the hammers are better in every way, just like they always have been, but there is something to the claws. It is a ton of attacks, and twin linked on like close combat is really rare. I really want some Assault Terminators, and Space Wolves get Assault Terminators. The Wolfguard Terminators are big, burly dudes with a lot of close combat weapons and some ranged weapons, which is pretty snazzy. Regular Terminators with the Power Fist and then the Stormbolter is actually pretty great. Stormbolter is 4 attacks at 12 inches, which 4 attacks, if you have like a 10-man squad, that can be a ridiculous number of bolter shots and can really help out if anything wants to tar pit you, like some Ormagants or some Chaos Cultists. Swapping out your Power Fist for power weapons is usually not the move, although I guess maybe these power weapons, because they're Space Wolves, they're going to be frost weapons, and so they might get a little bit of extra AP or something to make them a little bit more comparable to Power Fists, but Power Fists are usually just really, really good. Also, I don't see Thunder Hammers, although I do see the Lightning Claws, and I do see a singular Storm Shield. Oh wait, what is that guy? What is that guy in his hand? I see the Storm Shield. That could be a Power Axe. It almost certainly is a Power Axe or a Frost Axe, but it could be a Thunder Hammer. The Thunder Hammers are acceptable anti-armor, but I feel like you really don't want your Terminators charging a tank. It wouldn't be the worst thing to have them do, it's just unlikely. Terminators are kind of slow. You can rapid ingress them in and then move in your movement phase and then hopefully get ready for a charge, but I feel like you want to go up against heavier infantry or just like objective camp with Terminators. But these guys look really, really good. Their detailing is really nice. I like the somewhat subtle inclusion of the different Space Wolves-y bits. I feel like now that 40K has been through the great embiggening, details feel a little bit better on the miniatures just because there's a little bit more room. If anybody remembers, what was it? Even before Dark Imperium. Dark Vengeance with the Dark Angels and versus Chaos. If anybody remembers those miniatures, they were details the miniatures. Every inch of every dude was a bandage and a belt and a spike and a little charm and a little feather. Like every single inch of each miniature was completely bedazzled. These guys, I think, are the right amount of bedazzle. You get to see the beautiful, elegant silhouette of the Terminator armor, but then you get a good number of pelts and tails and little rune tokens. These guys are really, really nice. And I wasn't expecting more Space Wolves, but we got 3 new characters and 1 new unit today. And then a few weeks ago, we got 2 units and 2 characters. So Space Wolves are kind of getting a little bit of a range refresh out of nowhere. And it's just making me think, well, they've teased a bunch of Space Marines now. What's coming for the Space Marines, and more specifically, what's coming for the Black Templars? The new Logan Grimnar is gorgeous. He's in Terminator plate, and he has the funkiest axe I've ever seen. It almost looks like a Salamander's axe. I know it's like a named axe, and it's important, and a bunch of stuff goes along with it, but it is a funky looking axe. He looks so good in his Terminator armor, with the 2 hounds next to him, and their buddy is just draped over his shoulders. His face looks really, really good. I think the only thing a little bit off with the miniature is his shoulder pads are kind of down, and then his arms are kind of more down on his sides. I wish he was a little bit more up and big, but I feel like that would be an easy enough conversion to do. But yeah, he's really, really nice. Then there's Arjak Rockfist with the hammer, with literally Thor's hammer. And there's a pose of him just like kind of holding it, and then there's a pose of him throwing it like Thor throws it in the movies. This guy is just fantastic. Hopefully he'll be able to lead just regular intercessor squads. Hopefully he can't, because I feel like it wouldn't synergize very well. But back in the Dizzy, you were allowed to take 1 Space Marine and Terminator armor in each of your normal squads of Tactical Marines. And that was actually kind of cool, because you could tank the 4-up save, or you could just tank saves on your 2-up save until that guy died, and then your regular Space Marines were on their own to defend themselves. It was kind of a cool little thing. But this guy is awesome. He also is somewhat plain. He's not overly done. I really, really like how he looks. And then there is the Rune Priest. Yeah, the Rune Priest with his Cyber Crow. I guess probably Cyber Raven. And his little stick. And his stick has the RGB LEDs that are strobing, so you see it's halfway through changing from blue to purple. And it's got the little glowy Space Wolf skull eye. Also, there's a really fun meme that's been shared about Space Wolves and how Games Workshop doesn't know the difference between a wolf skull and a raccoon skull. and all of the skulls that they sculpt on their miniatures are raccoon skulls and not actually wolf skulls. This guy is really, really fun. The wolf head on top of his cowling looks a lot like Caesar's Legion from Fallout New Vegas, how they have the wolf pelts on them. This guy is really, really nice, and he's covered in runes. I would assume that Games Workshop is done making new Space Wolf things for a while now, and I would also have to bet that the next codex is going to be Thousand Suns, because that's how it makes some sense in the timeline. But after Thousand Suns, then we're gonna get the Space Wolves, hopefully. And then after Space Wolves, we're gonna get the Black Templars. And they showed off that sneaky picture of something that looks a lot like High Marshal Helbrecht's backpack with a Psyker skull in the middle of it. It's not gonna be another High Marshal Helbrecht, but it's gonna be something Black Templars, and I'm really, really excited for it. And there's nothing. Black Templar don't need anything. But if they just wanted to bring out generic Terminators, generic close combat Terminators, I would be over the moon excited. Even though I kind of bought everything that I need to kit bash a bunch of modern assault Terminators, 180 days ago, I pre-ordered the Space Marine Heroes Series 2 or Series 3, the Terminator one, and I just got them in the mail. So I have a bunch of really interesting, uniquely posed Terminators. And then I bought a bunch of aftermarket Lightning Claws and Thunder Hammers and Power Fists, or Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields. And I have been collecting Black Templar upgrade frames like a fiend. Like, I'm kind of ready to rock and roll if I had to invent my own Assault Marines in Terminator armor. But if Games Workshop came out with some, then I would have to get those too. I mean, which wouldn't be the end of the world, because rules as written, I am allowed to have 30 assault Terminators. So, you know, that would give me I'd get 10 from Games Workshop, I would build myself 10, and then I would still be down 10, because I would be allowed to bring 10 more. That would be a lot of points. That would be over half my army, but it would probably, and I would attach characters. It would get absolutely ridiculous. And it wouldn't even really be like a stat check army that's good. It would just be you brought too many Terminators to a game of 40k, but it would be really, really fun. I just want to rip and tear. I want to rip and tear with some Lightning Claws. Space Wolves kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm very excited for the Black Templars, but after that, it's Grey Knights. And I was pretty sure that Grey Knights, they got shown off their Grandmaster and Nemesis armor, and I was pretty sure that was going to be the one thing for Grey Knights. I could actually now that there's gonna be some distance between them showing off that one miniature and us actually getting the codex, I could maybe see some other stuff coming for the Grey Knights. Maybe they kind of need a range refresh. They need the strike squads, and I don't know, the Terminators, they hold up really, really well, but they're pretty darn small. And so I could see maybe some more stuff coming for Grey Knights, but then theoretically, we get Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights. I like that Chaos Knights have now managed to sneak themselves before Imperial Knights, even though they weren't even on the roadmap. Now they still got to bump Imperial Knights, but Chaos Knights are cool. I would love to see a Chaos Knights army that isn't just all Armigers or all War Dog Brigands, because it's really lame. I have problems with knight armies in general. Number one, they always beat me very, very easily, because it's a little bit of a stat check army. But number two, it's kind of boring, because you've got, usually, if I'm playing against Imperial Knights, it's 3 big knights and then 3 Armigers. And Armigers are ridiculously good because that's the way knights work. Each Imperial Knight is just ridiculously good, hitting on 2s with everything, re-rolling 1 dice a turn. Everything is awesome always, because they only get the 1 activation. And so they have to be able to make the 1 activation count. And so they just have to be ridiculously good. And then they still are lacking in abilities to control objectives, move around the board, wrestle with objective skirmishers. And so all of those abilities are just shoved into Armigers. And Armigers become ridiculously good because they're just shoring up the weaknesses of knights. And that shoring just makes for a really, really good unit. It's boring. I think that knights should have more than 1 activation a turn. Maybe if they had an activation in their turn and then they got to activate in their opponent's turn as well. I think then you could lower their power level and efficiency quite a bit while still making them really challenging and interesting to play against. And it wouldn't really even make the game take that much longer, because if you only have 4 activations a turn, I mean, it's not even crazy to have 8 activations a turn. Most sides of 40k are gonna have like 14 to 19 units per side, so 8 activations is not even at all ridiculous. I would love to see Knights get just a little something that unique and different about them that actually makes them really fun to play with and against, versus you're just going up against 4 Baneblades and it's just a misery. Also, interestingly, we're kind of getting close to the end of 10th edition, and there's still there's not a lot of codexes left, but there's Dark Eldar, one of my armies, and then there's Leagues of Votann. Now, I assume Leagues of Votann are going to be dead last, but I do assume that they're going to get a pretty juicy, not range refresh, because they're brand spanking new, but they're going to get the rest of their range, and hopefully it's going to have some really, really interesting stuff in it. But are the Dark Eldar just not going to get nothing? There's also no Chaos Demons, no generic Chaos Demons, and I think Games Workshop is kicking themselves because of Chaos Demons, because they're really weird. Most people don't prefer Chaos Demon soup, but then are we going to have 4 Chaos Demons codexes for the 4 Chaos Demons? A lot of their range is getting old or is fine cast, and they're slowly kind of dropping off. The Chariots have gotten moved to Legend Z. The Chariots are still available if you bring the Index Chaos Demons or the Grotmist Detachment Chaos Demons, but if you actually take the Chaos Demons in the different Chaos Space Marines codexes, there's no Chariots, there's most of the special characters are gone. It's a really weird. You can't squat demons. Demons are a thing in 40k. Almost every 40k novel, if they travel through the warp, they run into some demons. Demons are a really big, important thing in 40k. So I can't imagine they'll go away, but I could sort of believe them getting souped into Chaos Space Marines, but it still seems pretty lame. And you're not allowed, in those codexes, you're not allowed to bring just demons. You have to bring 50-50 demons and Chaos Space Marines. So, I don't know. It's really weird. Almost as weird as our website, EonsOfBattle.com. EonsOfBattle.com is the place to find our merch, like the Nick and Jay dice, and is the best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit that they can use on our new monthly terrain packs or any previous pack we have ever made. This May, we're delving back into the Hungry Maw with the Infested Colony, a world recently ravaged by the chitinous teeth and claws of the Endless Swarm, a series of ruined buildings crumbling under the weight of hypercharged plant growth and impaled by alien limbs, and shipping containers that have been ripped to shreds or torn open from the inside out. These relics from an alien war are designed with competitive wargaming in mind and an eye for storytelling, matching perfectly with our previous alien hive colony. With this set, you can build a wargaming table dripping with alien atmosphere. I'm pretty interested in the Games Workshop release calendar for 40k because I like playing 40k a lot, but I'm usually not pretty jazzed about what is specifically coming out because it's never one of my armies and I usually don't buy stuff immediately on launch. But Black Templars is in the pipeline. And that's pretty darn exciting. New detachments, at the very least, one singular new mini. I'm gonna have to be fighting. I'm gonna be fighting with some people over pre-orders to see if I can get my hands on whatever is coming for the Black Templars because it's exciting. The last time I pre-ordered something was probably the Space Marine Heroes Series 3 Terminators I just mentioned, but I might be pre-ordering something in the very near future. Thanks for watching.